See, I had a question about the whole question of witness. We talk about in cosmic consciousness the idea of the silent witness on life, but somehow it seems it's difficult for me to understand how that this maintaining two states of consciousness at once, and how that being can witness the other experience, how we can have this experience of being the silent witness. It seems kind of a contradiction because it implies that somebody is observing something, whereas the state of being is actually a flat state by nature. And this really brings up a problem when I think about being in that state of awake and yet asleep. Because on the one hand we have the mind which is asleep, the conscious experiencing mind which is totally asleep. On the other hand, we have the state of being. And I can't see any way in which a person would know that that's going on, because he can't witness himself being asleep. That necessitates experience. And his mind, as such, is totally asleep. And the only thing that's being maintained is awareness, which is flat, actually, in its nature.
Being is Sat Chit Ananda, non-changing, eternal Sat. Chit, consciousness. Ananda, bliss. And this Sat Chit Ananda, for the value of words, seem to be three qualities, attributes. But they are the expressions, the three expressions of the attribute less. Absolute has no relativity contained in it, and therefore this absolute bliss consciousness, Sat Chit Ananda, this is an expression of three values of the attribute less. Now, because it is consciousness, it could become creative intelligence, subjected to the state of nervous system. Consciousness subjected to the state of nervous system expresses itself as consciousness. Just like the sun, omnipresent, shining sun, shining in the same way everywhere. Depending on the surface of radiation, on the glass, on water, on oil, on green water, yellow water, red water, muddy water, it reflects differently. This quality of reflection is like the quality of consciousness, or quality of consciousness is like the quality of reflection. Depending on the structure of nervous system, which we may compare with the surface of radiation from where the sun reflects, starts to reflect, by virtue of consciousness, by virtue of omnipresent being consciousness, nervous system gains awareness. this particular structure. So many nerves come this way, and these veins, and this and this. There is a structure of the brain becomes lively, gains awareness. Now, man's brain gains awareness of a particular value. Ant's nervous system, ant's brain gains awareness of a particular value. Being is the same. Being is the same. Its omnipresence is the same in man's nervous system, in ant's nervous system, in elephant's nervous system. But awareness is found to be of different value because the structure of the reflector is different. Same being reflects differently from nervous system. In a piece of wood, in a piece of stone, here, there, the same being does not reflect in the same manner. So, because being is consciousness, human nervous system gains the value of awareness. It can be aware. Now, it can be aware of anything. Once the value of awareness, when the ability to be aware is there, it will be aware of everything. If the nervous system is completely free from stress and strain, materially and structurally, two things. Nervous system has two values, material value and structural value. Just like the joint of the hand, like that. It has material values. All the matter of which the fingers are made. And the structural value, that they can move like that, like that. They can't move the other way like that. They can move this way. This is structure. It is fastened in such a way that they can move like that, up and down, not sideways. This is structural value. So, the purity of nervous system on the material level, what is the chemistry of the system? And purity of the nervous system on the structural value, how much flexible they are for the movement for which they are designed. Structural value. If both values are normal, then fullness of being in its purity could be reflected. That means awareness could be complete and full, comprehensive and unrestricted. Full awareness, and we call it unbounded awareness, pure awareness. This is one value of reflection. Another value of reflection is that the structural value gets to a different evaluation. Structural value. When functioning like that, like that, like that for some time, the parts that have been rubbing together become heated and become worn out or something, then this smooth functioning like that ceases. The functioning becomes rough. And when the functioning becomes rough, it gets a different structural value. Like that, the nervous system, when it gets tired, eyes, everything closes, senses are not able to function, mind doesn't function, intellect sleeps, ego sleeps. This is a different value because The nervous system has been functioning for so long and now it cannot function. Gets tired, fatigued. So, untired, unfatigued nervous system, fresh, it has one value, that it will reflect pure consciousness completely. Fatigued nervous system will have another value. It gets tired. The awareness is not so full, partial awareness. It's able to locate only so much and nothing more. Or completely no active, in deep sleep. Waking, dreaming, sleeping states of consciousness arise from non-complete value of the nervous system. Non-complete value of the nervous system. And this non-complete value of the nervous system is to make the nervous system function in whatever normal capacity it is capable to function. Stressed nervous system, fine. Now, under the influence of that much stress, how much the nervous system can function in the waking state, that much functioning is available. And that is the chemistry, that is the material structure, and that is the flexibility of the nervous system. And working so much, working for such long time, and then it functions, it starts to function differently. Different functioning of the nervous system reflects different state of consciousness. Different style of functioning of the nervous system produces different state of consciousness. Now, exposing the machine, after all it's a machine, and it's so adjustable. Human nervous system is such an adjustable machinery that just now we see this and we hear this. Immediately we are able to see something else. There is a great amount of computing going on in the nervous system, by virtue of which we can move the head and see something different, and move the head and see something different, evaluate something different. All these different evaluations, we see at the same time some white, some black, some green, some blue. So many people, so many forms, different, and quick change. This is great adaptability of the nervous system to respond to change conditions. Very great adaptability on the part of the nervous system to respond to different values of perception and action. This ability is there in the nervous system, that it can respond quickly to changing conditions. If something starts to happen in this way, one would immediately get up and run. Great adaptability on the part of the nervous system. This very great adaptability on the part of the nervous system is at the root of shifting quickly from waking state of consciousness to transcendental consciousness. From the localized value of perception to the unbounded, infinite value of perception. This change, this ability of the nervous system to change itself, to adapt itself quickly to the changed conditions. Now we are in the waking state, immediately ding, 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 and unbounded awareness, pure being, unbounded, pure consciousness. The system has adapted itself to that style of functioning so that it may produce that value of the omnipresent being. The omnipresent being starts to reflect from the nervous system in its full value. And this is due to the adaptability of the nervous system to change the conditions. This great adaptability of the nervous system exposed quickly to varying situations on the level of perception. We are perceiving localized thing. Fine state, fine state, fine state, finest state. Immediately one bursts into that unboundedness, transcendental awareness. Coming out, immediately the mind gets to localized conditions. The entire chemistry changes, the whole structure changes, the style of functioning changes as mind shifts from transcendental consciousness to waking consciousness, quite in the similar way and quite in the natural way as the whole thing changes when the awareness changes from waking state to dreaming state or to sleep state. Immediately, now, exposing the nervous system to quick variations in this field, waking state, transcendental state. Now here we are talking in terms of consciousness. We can quite comfortably talk in terms of the physiological conditions. A physiological condition, we expose the nervous system to a particular pattern of metabolic rate, so that waking state of consciousness comes. We expose the nervous system to another style of metabolic rate, and we get to transcendental consciousness. Shifting this style of metabolic rate, shifting this value of chemistry in the body, shifting this style of functioning of the nerves and veins and the entire mechanism, so that the two states of consciousness come quickly, one after the other, transcending, coming to waking, transcending, coming to waking, transcending, coming to waking. This exposure to quick variations in this way develops the ability of the nervous system to maintain both these states of consciousness. And this is what is at the basis of this training of the nervous system? That ability to adopt varying conditions. Adaptability of the nervous system to varying conditions is at the basis of this process which cultures the nervous system to maintain both these states of consciousness simultaneously. When the culture starts, only one state of consciousness, either transcendental or waking or dreaming or sleeping, only one state of consciousness. But exposing the nervous system to varying conditions for this state of consciousness, fourth and third and fourth and third, waking and transcendental, waking and transcendental, quickly varying the style of functioning, quickly changing from one level of lactate to the other level of lactate and back to the previous and back to the former, the later. Lactate conditions, blood pressure, all these, oxygen consumption, quick, more, quick, less, quick variations. All these quick variations during the procedure of transcendental meditation basically resolve all the blocks that would hinder the process of quick variation of the functioning. It is these stresses which block the style of functioning of nervous system responsible for the waking to take to the style of functioning of nervous system suitable for the transcendental. When the when the nervous system takes a swing from waking to the transcendental, what blocks is these stresses. Stresses block the swing. But quickly exposing the nervous system to this swing and that swing and that swing, gradually all these blocks get melted away, and then the swing becomes unobstructed. When the swing becomes unobstructed, then the swing becomes unnecessary. Then this value is the same as this value because there is no resistance in between. So the last core of the swing on this side and the last core on the swing of this side gain the same value. Even though this side remains this side and this side remains this side, there is nothing which obstructs this side being this side or this side being this side. The two shores of the river come so close together that even though they maintain their own individual side, yet they can be comprehended both together. This is the culture of nervous system, so that the most normal functioning condition can always remain, even when the things may change. When that shore and this shore have come together, doesn't matter if at one time the trees grow on this shore and at other time the wind roots out the trees and there is bare sand. Third time, maybe the herd of cows, all, no sand, no trees. The third situation is there. Waking state, dreaming state, sleep state, keep on coming, changing. This shoreline keeps changing the color. This shoreline stands unchanged. Pure being, pure awareness in the company of ever-changing states of different states. And this is what brings about CC. So it's just the change. The basic thing is the adaptability of nervous system for changed conditions of functioning. Adaptability of the nervous system for changed condition of functioning. And that is all. It's a natural phenomenon. Go ahead.
Well, still in this problem...
This will be the basic understanding on which all the questions regarding the variation of awareness will be solved. Now let us take them one by one.
I still don't understand this element of witness, because even though we have awareness,
right,
and we say awareness of everything, being is flat by nature, and therefore it cannot be aware of anything. It is pure awareness itself.
Right.
Now, the only way I can resolve the argument is by saying that, in fact, cosmic consciousness is maintaining three states of consciousness. And that is, on the one hand, one of the relative states, waking, dreaming, or sleeping. The other hand is being, and simultaneous with being is being maintained on the level of the intellect, so that there is some ability to witness there. Because if you're asleep, for instance, and you have flat being and dead sleep, I just can't see an element of witnessing unless the intellect, the waking state intellect, is somehow there to some extent, and being is being maintained on that level of the intellect, so that the intellect can in fact make a judgment. Oh yes, I am asleep now, but yet I'm awake inside.
If any aspect of waking is there, then it's not the transcendental fourth state, then it's the waking state.
But how could somebody...
The character of that awareness is not the character of waking state. That is the reason why it has been named a different state of consciousness. The very name fourth state of consciousness comes from the fact that it is nothing to do with any of these three states. If it had any likeness or any resemblance or anything to do with any of these, then it would have been put as an aspect of waking or dreaming or sleeping. But because its structure is absolutely non-relative, its structure is only absolute. And that is the reason why we say, yes, that absolute starts to be with the relative. By virtue of what? Nervous system. By virtue of nervous system, the absolute being which was flat and couldn't do anything, it starts to be lively. It's lively and it is along with any of these, doesn't matter, waking, dreaming, sleeping. That liveliness, it's liveliness. Now, the filament in a bulb. Now, the electricity, the moment you put on the switch, it just enlivens the filament. Enlivens the filament, and then that enlivened filament witnesses what is around it. Darkness is around it. It's all darkness around it. But it has not yet started to emit light, but the filament is lively. It's a lively filament. In one state, the filament is not lively. In another condition, the filament is alive. In your physiology, you say hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is fully enlivened. The whole thing is fully enlivened. Nothing of that starts to function, but it's ready to jump into activity. Enlivened, fully enlivened state of hypothalamus. Just like the fully enlivened state of the filament. And then the same enlivened state of the filament starts to emit light. So, this enlivened state of the filament then starts to coexist with light in one condition. In the other condition, when the filament has not started to emit light, it is coexisting with darkness around it. It's only heat around it. And when it is not enlivened, then it stands all by itself, neither heat nor light, it's all silence around it. Like that, fully enlivened state of the nervous system, of the brain, when one has gained this state corresponds to transcendental consciousness. The structure of that state of consciousness is completely unlike waking, dreaming, sleeping. No resemblance, nothing. That is why it is called fourth state of consciousness. Now, this fourth state of consciousness is the fourth state of consciousness. It is neither waking nor dreaming nor sleeping. this. These three are here, one is here. It has its own structure. Now, because it has its own structure, this we see in the beginning days of meditation, you transcend. And then later on, you are thinking in a very fine manner, and yet you know that that awareness is not lost even when you are thinking in a finer manner. That means fine mental activity is capable of not eradicating that pure awareness, which is a state of non-activity. That means the nervous system is not yet capable of handling that fine mental activity at the time when it is maintaining that non-active state of pure awareness. This we say is uncultured state of nervous system. The child is uncultured, he can walk himself but cannot take another child on him. It's tender. And later on the child can walk and he can pick up another child and then both can walk together. It's more sturdy now, more sturdy child. Growth has been marked when the child can take another child on him and he can walk with both the child. The nervous system is tender when it can take only one state of awareness, only transcendental or only waking, then it's tender. It needs more strength. It needs more strength, needs more culture. It should be habituated to have both states of consciousness. And what makes the child capable of taking on another child? Just his own ability to walk. And he uses his ability to walk, and he walks, and he walks, and he walks, and he walks. And then by walking, he becomes capable of having another child and yet be capable of walking. The nervous system is exposed to that fourth state of consciousness. Repeated sequence of exposing the nervous system to radiate that awareness. Exposing. The nervous system becomes capable of having that and having this, having both together. This is the increased ability of the nervous system, that it is capable of handling both. And when it is capable of handling both, the beauty is that by virtue of that unbounded awareness, he has that value of just being. Just being. It can hold on to its being, the state of being. And by virtue of handling waking state of consciousness, the senses can function, mind can function, ego can function. Activity can be handled at the time when the non-action, state of non-action is maintained. Now, what has happened in this state? Nothing other than the natural structure of life has been enlivened to its full value. The natural structure of life is that underneath all changing values, there is non-changing value of being. The natural structure of life is that there is activity and there is non-activity of being. Being is all permeating, all pervading, and activity is going on like that. This is the natural state of nervous system. When there were blocks and stresses in the nervous system, then the nervous system was only capable of being aware of the active value of life. And now, as the stresses are resolved, nervous system has become more capable. An increased capability has given it the strength of not losing the awareness of the non-changing value and yet keeping the awareness of the changing value. That means the awareness is now complete. Complete awareness is capable of being aware of the non-changing, stable, non-active, stationary, immovable field of being and field of action. Relative and absolute both together, as is the situation of life, as is the natural condition of life. Life is both together, non-active and active both together. When our awareness is not fully developed, then we are exposed only to the variable aspect of life, and when our awareness is fully developed, we are able to be even aware of the non-changing, non-variable field of being. Now, there is no contradiction in it. It's a very beautiful analysis of the situation. In this experience of cosmic consciousness, where one is aware of what is happening and yet one is involved in what is happening, the involvement in action and non-involvement in it is a very, very natural situation. When our awareness is uncultured, incomplete, undeveloped, then we only are aware of one aspect of it, the variable aspect of it, the active aspect of it. When our awareness is more matured, more developed, more fully expanded, when our awareness is more capable of greater comprehension, then even the non-active, the silent field of being can be perceived as concretely as the field of activity is cognized. In this experience of cosmic consciousness, where one is aware of what is happening and yet one is involved in what is happening, the involvement in action and non-involvement in it is a very, very natural situation. When our awareness is uncultured, incomplete, undeveloped, then we only are aware of one aspect of it, the variable aspect of it, the active aspect of it. When our awareness is more matured, more developed, more fully expanded, when our awareness is more capable of greater comprehension, then even the non-active, the silent field of being can be perceived as concretely as the field of activity is cognized. And because the cognition of the field of all silence is in great contrast with the nature of the field of variance, the field of change. That is why one feels that these are two different states of life. In reality, they are not two different states of life. This difference in activity and silence, this difference in activity and silence, this perception, this cognition of the truth of two aspects of life is not the ultimate truth of life. It is the cognition of a value of life which is evolving. It's not totally evolved yet. It's evolving. The total evolved state of life will be that it is all silence. All this flower, this white, this green, this flat, and this round, and this, and all these are too superficial when we consider the actuality of all this in the non-changing, non-colorful sap. Colorless sap is all that there is. Like that, the infinite non-changing value is all that there is. Because if being is omnipresent, now mark the word omnipresent, omnipresent. If being is omnipresent, present in every fiber of everything, if being is omnipresent, and if it is all silence, then where is the place for activity? If being is omnipresent, when it is present, just like the sap omnipresent, and every little fiber of this is sap, 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 sap. And if every little fiber of this is sap, then everything is just sap and sap and sap. Where is non-sap? There is no place for non-sap. If sap is omnipresent, then all this is nothing but sap. If being is omnipresent, now what is that level where we testify this statement that the being is omnipresent? Where is that certificate of being omnipresent? When we transcend that abstract awareness, unboundedness is all that we experience. That structureless structure of existence, we call it pure being. That is omnipresent. If that abstract structureless structure of being is all pervading, then every little fiber of creation is just that. When this reality opens to our awareness, then our awareness is fully matured. In the unmatured state, we experience the duality of life. It is this, it is this, it is this, it is this, it is this. Sap is white, sap is green, sap is flat, sap is round. All the variations. The sap is, but it is this, it is this, it is this. Like that, pure consciousness is, but it's coexisting with waking, dreaming, sleeping, this. This is half-matured state of consciousness. Half-matured state of consciousness. So CC is just a stepping stone, a milestone on the path of evolution. A milestone, not the last. A milestone. So, the awareness of only waking, dreaming, sleeping is very uncultured state of awareness. And this is when the nervous system is not in any way functioning normally. Abnormal functioning of nervous system due to lots of lactates and lots of undue pressures and blood pressures and all these things. So much of improvable chemistry which can be improved upon nervous system. So many factors on the physical structure do not allow awareness of the waking state to be the awareness of the unbounded pure being. And that is why our awareness remains in the changing field of life, in the variables, waking, dreaming, sleeping, waking, dreaming, sleeping. And when the awareness becomes more matured, that is by virtue of a release of stresses on the physical level. The release of stresses on the physical level enables our awareness to be more and more, we say, pure. More and more pure. Awareness becomes purer and purer. Correspondingly, the physical, material and structural values of the nervous system become purer and purer and purer and purer. So, opening of the non-changing, stable field of being to our awareness is the developed value of the nervous system. Same thing we say is the developed value of our ability of perception. We are able to directly perceive the unboundedness, the eternal silence, which is the basic value of all activity of life. And in that state, activity is cognized. The basis is not lost to our awareness, and what is structured on that basis is also not lost to our awareness. The mother is not lost to awareness, and the child has also come to awareness. Pure creative intelligence, the basis of all creation, the basis of all creation has also come to our awareness. So, the whole field of universe along with its basis comes to our awareness. that is more matured state of awareness. And in this state, the silence and the activity both are. A multimillionaire goes to a shop and he purchases this and this and this and this and this and this and so many 100,000 bill made. If the shopkeeper knows who is he knows what is behind his activity. The fullness of treasury is behind his spending little bit here, little bit here. For him, when he says, all right, 10,000 worth of this and 20,000 worth of this and 100,000 worth of this and this, and there is that unbounded treasury at the basis. Someone who is not aware of him being a multimillionaire, someone who is not aware of the basis of all his activity, he may be astonished how he is acting. The ignorant people in the world, astonished at the great creative intelligence of the great creative artists and scientists and research scholars, and they imagine, oh, how great a mind he is and how great and from where he creates, and they go and ask him, what is behind all this creative intelligence? He says, nothing much about it, I take the brush and put it up and it happens to come out like that. The natural strokes of an expert, profound, well-developed artist bring out that full blossom of his flower. An uncultured mind doesn't. He who knows from where he is doing is aware of his basis. And then there is no surprise. The man knows he is a multimillionaire, spending $10,000 here, 100,000, 1 million, 2 million. The man knows it's no surprise. He has his basis in that. So the awareness of the basis, the knowledge of basis of all activity does not make a man surprised when there are great achievements out of small activities. For an hour he was in the market and he has purchased so many millions worth of things. Because he was aware of his basis of spending. His basis of action was non-activity in his treasury. The wealth was immovable, inexhaustible rather. So if the basis of all activity is known, then the field of activity is no surprise. And then any amount of activity can be sustained on the basis of that immovable status of life. That immovable status of life open to one's awareness, and this always changing value of life open to one's awareness, this is cosmic consciousness. Two values open to awareness is nothing strange, because life is like that. Colorless sap and colorful flower, that is the totality of the value of the flower. The inner value, the outer value. So all activity, no activity, unboundedness and localized value in time and place. The boundaries and unboundedness. After all, where are the boundaries? You draw a line, this and this. Where is this boundary? This is only in the unboundedness. So what is the surprise when the boundaries are seen and the lot of space around it, the unboundedness is also not out of sight? No surprise. If so many, you see, naturally we know from experience, we open the eyes and this much is the angle. even though it's less this side and less this side and very much more on this side, but there is that expanded value. This is there is localized value and there is expanded value. Both are there. We see something and we see the background also, and we see the side ground also. All the grounds are seen. So this is the same thing as having unbounded awareness and not losing localized awareness. Localized awareness along with unbounded awareness, activity and stability, non-action, both on the level of one awareness. Both on the level of one awareness. See, a man goes to spend again. A man goes to spend again. He is spending. He is spending. And he is comfortably spending with the awareness of what is not being spent in the pocket. Two awarenesses, two states of awareness simultaneously, and one state of awareness makes the other state of awareness more comfortable. Activity of spending is comfortable. This awareness of spending is comfortable with the awareness of non-spending pocket full dollars. This one thing. So this awareness makes this awareness comfortable. Non-active awareness of being, awareness of all silence, the basis of all being, this awareness makes the awareness of action comfortable. It doesn't challenge it. It doesn't challenge it. It doesn't stop it. Only it supports it, makes it comfortable. It strengthens it. Not only strengthens spending, but in this strength is the joy of life. When the awareness of non-active being is there, then the awareness of action not only brings the result of action, but it's a joy of life. Every action is a wave of bliss if that action is on the level of awareness of bliss, on the level of bliss consciousness. So the awareness of unbounded being is not only natural, but also supportive of the value of action. It's not only supportive of the value of action, but it accelerates the life of the actor as well. All these things taken together. The actor enjoys activity when his awareness is established in silence of being. And then only is the joy of action, and then only is the maximum value of the action resulting in the maximum value of the fruit of action. And if the unbounded awareness is not open to one's mind, then it would be very uncomfortable situation. If the man does not know that there is a lot in the pocket, then at every spending he will feel crushed. The field of activity could just amount to losing life. Not only a pinch, but a prick of the thorn. If the non-changing, immortal value of being is not open to our awareness. It is the awareness of the wealth in the pocket or in the bank that makes one spend in freedom. Life is lived within limitations in full value of freedom only when the awareness is unbounded. The localized activity, the field of bondage, is a wave of every activity within limitations in the relative field serves to be a wave of happiness only when awareness is open to unbounded value, that silence of being. If not, every wave of action will be only changing value of life. And change is death. Death is non-life. So life is worthy of its name if awareness is open to unboundedness. If awareness is steadfast in that non-changing, non-variable, non-relative, eternally silent field of being, unboundedness, then life is worth its name. Otherwise, life is non-life. It's the field of death. It's the field of change. Is the money being spent? Just that. It pictures the whole situation in a beautiful manner. The money in hand being spent could be a great prick of thorn if the awareness of some more in the pocket or some more in the bank is missing. And because in our field of action we see that it is practical for us to have two kinds of awareness completely, seemingly opposed to each other. The awareness of spending and awareness of keeping. Awareness of wealth in the pocket or in the bank, this is the awareness of non-spending, awareness of keeping, hold on, awareness of silent value of wealth, along with the awareness of moving value of wealth. Silent value of wealth, I have so much. Moving value of wealth, I am spending so much. Both these awarenesses, both these kinds of awareness are a practical experience of ours. Then therefore, when that unbounded awareness comes to witness all activity of the waking state and silence, dead silence of the sleep and some illusory activity of the dreaming state, all these different relative values of activity and silence, then one knows it's a natural situation. When every day it is our experience that we can have the awareness of silent value of wealth and awareness of the moving value of wealth, it's our direct experience. And therefore, when the experience comes in cosmic consciousness that we are stationary and we are moving, these two states of awareness are no strangers to us. We don't feel strange about being silent and being active, being a witness and being involved. All these two aspects which otherwise would have been found as contrary to each other, they are not contrary, because this experience, this principle of two kinds of awareness is our daily experience in the market or at home. two kinds of awareness are our daily experience, and if this happens in CC, it is the same as has been happening to us every time we step down to the market.
I hate to keep pursuing this question, but I feel if somebody actually asked it to me and presented it in such a way that I wouldn't accurately be able to answer it. And
why not?
well, I'll describe it to you. Well, I'll describe it to you. Because the thing is that when you say, on the one hand, being involved in an activity, on the other hand, being aware of, or on the one hand, being in waking state, and the other hand, being a witness to waking state, somehow this idea of witness just doesn't come across to me. Because, and I'll give you the example, because on the one hand, TC is the state of awareness itself, and that means awareness of all of creation. And we can't be aware of a thought in that state because it's pure awareness. We have no thought, no mantra, just that state of pure awareness. So I don't see how in that state we could actually, now when you take this state with some other state, I don't see how you could actually there could be any act of witnessing, because witnessing implies that somebody is there and they're observing some situation. That means they're
involved.
Yes. Well, but they're aware of something, which is the object, and there's an object of perception and something which they're perceiving through. Whereas TC is it can't be. You're not aware of a thought. You're not aware of anything. You're aware of awareness. Well, it's just awareness itself. You're not even aware of awareness. It's just the state of awareness, and therefore I can't see how a person could actually witness something. He's involved in the activity, but if he's maintaining the state of being, how can he witness that activity if being is pure awareness and there's no act of observing, really?
Being is pure awareness. Being is pure awareness. Even this statement, no? This statement takes into account the statement of being with reference to nervous system. Being is with reference to nothing. But the moment we say being is awareness, this expression, being is awareness, that's why I analyzed in the beginning that being is Satchidananda, Chit aspect, the consciousness aspect. So when we say being is consciousness, this statement is valid when we talk of being with reference to nervous system. Immediately that reference is involved. Being, certainly that this being is the same which is being, omnipresent. But the moment we say consciousness, its reference is established with nervous system. The moment we say awareness, immediately its reference is made to mind. And from consciousness comes the value of being conscious. The value of consciousness comes from being, and the value of being conscious comes from consciousness. Again, with reference to nervous system.
The state of TC, though, is with reference to the nervous system.
Right.
And in that case, it's not just flat being, but it's being reflected off the nervous system. Now, in that case, being is, there's no witnessing there, though.
No, not only reflected, but appreciated.
But that appreciation implies duality.
Right. That appreciation applies to the unbounded value of unboundedness. That who experiences not the local mind, not the localized mind, not the boundary, not the mind which is bound, but the unboundedness of the mind, appreciates the unboundedness.
Then
This is again due to the value of nervous system. When the nervous system was not functioning in a particular style, then that unboundedness was not open to awareness. And when the style of functioning became a particular, a definite, then unboundedness opened itself to itself on the level of its own awareness.
if it's an appreciation of the unbounded, appreciating the unbounded, that I can actually, somehow I can see that, whereas
You see, it's
whereas I can't see the unbounded
It's just like-
witnessing the bounded.
no, it's just like this filament. Filament is unconnected with the electricity, and now suddenly it has glowed up. It has glowed up. It has not yet started to radiate light, but it has glowed up within itself. Glowed up within itself. Being omnipresent, and all that is omnipresent is here, there, and everywhere. So that portion of the omnipresent unbounded being which is arrested by this nervous system, the nervous system glows up into the value of being. The being is the same which is omnipresent, but here its value is cognized. It glows up.
Now see, the real situation which I find a problem in understanding is in the case of sleep, because in that case it's as if we are witnessing ourselves being asleep, right? I mean, this is in the sense that the witness here is witnessing the omnipresence of creation, and he's also witnessing something which seems to be not omnipresent, but which seems to be bound, and that is himself being asleep. And that to me that doesn't seem to be possible. I don't know.
No, we'll see. We'll see. What is happening in sleep? The body, the nervous system ceases to perceive. Eyes, this completely ceases to perceive. This is due to the changed style of functioning of the nervous system, other than the waking. The nervous system has taken a different structure of functioning now. The awareness is completely lost when the whole system is being revived from the fatigue of the day. The system is being revived from the fatigue of the day. The system is revived from the fatigue of the day, and this revival state, this state which is being revived, is also not cognized. But if there are no deep stresses inside, then it should be possible, common sense, it should be possible that the removal of the fatigue is not lost to awareness. When it is possible to have the total value of action, total value of action. What is the total value of action? Deep within is non-changing silence, and on all the surface values of action, everything is active and changing. Active and changing and non-changing, both inclusive, are present the total value of action. If we don't find silence within the action, then we have not comprehended total value of action. Just as if we have not located the colorless sap in the white petal, then we have not yet comprehended total value of the petal. Because the total value of the white color has deep within it underlying the colorless sap. Like that, the total value of activity has within its structure the silence, never active silence. It's there. Like the ability to run fast has within it the ability to run slow. The ability to run slow has within it ability to walk fast. Ability to walk fast has within it ability to walk slow. Ability to walk slow has within it ability to stand still. And therefore, the ability of running fast has within it the ability to stand still. When we are comprehending a fast-running value, if we don't comprehend the value of stillness, then we have missed the total comprehension of that fast run. It's very simple. Yeah?
If I accept the premise that while I'm maintaining that omnipresence, that total, that awareness, that I
Right.
should also be inclusive in that awareness the fact that the body is removing fatigue,
Right.
then why can't I also include having a thought? Why can't I also include?
Beautiful, beautiful.
Well, then this is there's some difficulty here in explaining that. For me, in explaining the experience of being awake and yet asleep, because on the one hand there's that feeling of being awake inside, and yet there may be the awareness that my body is asleep, i.e., removing fatigue. Two, there may also be some awareness of the fact that there's some noise over here. But then, that's not really that genuine experience then, is it? I mean, because...
No. The thing is, see, just that one thing, that in the ability to run fast, or in the phenomenon of running fast, the reality of stand stillness is contained, or in the reality of stillness is contained the phenomenon of running fast, either way, this way and this way. This, and then same, in any activity, silence is contained. In sleep, dead sleep, which has no awareness, in that state, likewise, full awareness is contained. Just as in full awareness, no awareness is contained. Same thing. Just as in fast action, dead silence is contained. In dead silence, fast action is contained. If we want to say that we have comprehended great activity, the comprehension of that great activity demands simultaneously comprehension of absolute stillness. We must be able to comprehend stillness if we say we have comprehended all action. One is contained in the other. So, in the total comprehension of the value of sleep, all activity is contained. In total rest, In total silence, all cosmic activity is contained. And when we comprehend sleep, if our awareness is fully developed, it's beautiful. If our awareness is fully developed, then the totality of comprehension includes within its range infinite action and no activity. Infinite dynamism, all action, and no activity, all silence. If this is a beautiful point, or if our awareness is totally developed, completely developed awareness will comprehend the two extremities of the range of anything, silence or action. Any comprehension of silence has deep within it totality of all possible action. Total comprehension of any activity has within it total range of no activity. But if our awareness is not fully developed, then we will partially open to action or partially open to silence. But in case our awareness is totally developed, then infinite silence and infinite activity both will not be out of our comprehension at the same time, because the reality of activity contains within its structure all reality of eternal silence. This is the whole structure of creation. Omnipresent being, being everywhere, eternal silence everywhere, activity everywhere. So when our awareness is fully developed, then full comprehension of activity along with full comprehension of silence, both are a normal state of awareness. But if our awareness is not fully developed, then it will not comprehend these extremities of the range of existence.
Can I clarify? I think I understand it now. Maybe in the light of that experience, and I could say that being aware of myself asleep and having that state of pure awareness, they're the two extremities right there of that particular experience.
Right.
Now, the minute my mind switches over to thought, it's probably indicating that I'm waking up, and that in fact I may still have that awareness, but now my mind is waking up and it's having the extremity of the thought. I'm no longer asleep, and so
right.
I'm switching from sleep state into waking state, and there the extreme is that I'm aware of the thought, and then I'm aware of the silence within that thought, and then I may completely awake out of wake up
Yes.
out of that sleep, and then gradually somehow it appears that the awareness becomes overshadowed by the fact that I'm becoming awake. Whereas it's clear at the first point when I wake up and I realize, yes, I'm asleep and yet I'm awake inside. There's that expansion of awake
right.
inside and yet the body being
right.
asleep.
Right.
But somehow as the transition, it's maybe just the shock of that experience somehow wakes up the mind, and somehow as the transition goes, I become more and more aware of the surroundings around me,
Right.
and the awareness inside becomes, it continues, but it becomes less
Right.
and less and less.
Right. This is what we say the tender state of developed awareness.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The tender state, tender. And as the practice grows, this fully developed awareness becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, then all activity of the waking state will be as clearly comprehended along with that unbounded awareness as the deep sleep was comprehended along with that pure awareness. Just the tenderness of the awareness is developing. It has developed. The child has started to walk, but then it has started to walk. A few steps he goes and there he falls. And then he gets up and then he goes and then falls down. And then he goes. He started to walk. His feet have started to become a little bit stronger and stronger. And after some time, not only he walks sturdy, but he takes one of his friends also on his back, and then he walks like that. So in the process of development of awareness, these things, that the unboundedness is there during sleep or during waking, but sometimes when the activity is stronger, it seems to overshadow that. And when the activity is much less, this happens in meditation. When the activity is very, very delicate, then you know, oh, the being is there and the activity is there. But when you open the eyes, when you start speaking, acting, you don't have that pure awareness. But then, as practice grows, the being is not lost even when you are thinking. And then, as the practice grows, the being is not lost even when you are talking. And this is that what is called being a witness, uninvolved witness in all activity that one undertakes to do.
Then being
more matured state of more developed awareness.
Then being a witness, the definition of being a witness just means that whatever experience you're having the extremes of that experience. In other words, you're having the relative experience plus the silence that's contained within that experience.
And this is totality of awareness or totality of perception, that even the most extremely opposite value of that situation is also not out of comprehension. Big activity contrasts with deep silence, but then deep activity and deep silence both comprehended, and this is full value of awareness, fully developed, matured awareness. That's why the man is called enlightened. The word enlightened goes with his ability of not losing sight of anything. Even the extreme value of it is open to him, and the extreme value of everything is pure existence, pure being. It is open to him, and the surface value also open to him, so he is enlightened. Nothing is in dark for him. He is an enlightened man. Yes?
Keith says he's finished, which means that he has just begun. What I wanted to add was a remark that might help some people. It's just an emphasis on that might bring out the meaning of what Maharishi was just saying to those people who are more connected with the sciences. In this model of consciousness that I presented at Colorado, which Maharishi has been referring to occasionally, he's been saying that we will discuss the analogies with quantum field theory. You see the awareness can move down in the field of consciousness, move up and down. The field, consciousness has many levels, as we have become used to thinking of it. The surface level of the mind, in which thoughts appear, and then the deeper levels, in which you might say the proto-thoughts appear, the thoughts in a more primordial form. And then this structure has in it the moving awareness, which is a spotlight of consciousness. Yes, it can move down. Now, the thoughts and the proto-thoughts, the things that lie below, should be thought of as activations in the field of consciousness. And when you get way down, they're like quanta, in fact, like the particle aspect of the quantum field. When you get way down deep near the ground state, you see, then there's a very interesting fact that while up near the surface, activations are many, 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 and very crowded, close together, and so on. When you get near the ground, the activations are a few, thoughts are few, and spaced out very much. And that actually is like levels in an atom, discrete and widely separate. Now, there's one subtle and beautiful feature of the field theory. The fields and particles are involved that is very important, namely complementarity. That if you have a very small number of quanta, then the field aspect is much more pronounced. You see, if the particles are few, or the levels are very few, the field aspect is much more pronounced. What this means is that as you get down near the ground, the field aspect, which is infinite, spread out to infinity, is what appears. So as a person has consciousness, a spotlight of consciousness, his awareness is way down deep, he is experiencing, so to speak, the substratum of all thoughts, you see, of all activations. So that is what Maharishi was saying, that he's actually, so to speak, at the roots of everything. Extreme activity also has its roots down there, as well as extreme stillness. You see, stillness is actually the lowest state of all. So it's as if you get to the common bottom of all things when you're down near the bottom there. And that's expressed formally in the quantum field theory, in that every process can be expressed as what we call a vacuum expectation value. In other words, everything is created out of the ground state. So everything can be expressed as simply a manifestation of the ground state. You see, it can be expressed that way. So everything is just in terms of the ground state, if you want to. I think that's really the whole point of what he was saying, that everything occurs at that level.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. So it amounts to only releasing the blocks from the way and allowing the awareness to be more and more comprehensive, more and more complete. Allowing the awareness to be more and more complete by removing the blocks on the way. It's very beautiful. And maybe some good point, it's fresh, let's hear it.
Since you insist. This point was going on in my mind all the time, and I like to check Maharishi to find out if it is one I like to use on a simpler level, physical level. Physics, it's all right, if it is comprehensible. Every substance can exist in three states: gaseous, solid, and liquid, right? So if we take water, this is from the science of being. If we take water, which is made out of molecules, it can exist as ice, as steam, and as water. Now, there is a temperature level, if you start going down, which is the 0 level of centigrade temperature, centigrade, 0 centigrade degrees, where the ice and the water can exist together at the same time. And also ice can, the ice could evaporate, or the water, and you have the three states coexisting. And at the same time, the molecule, which is a subtler level of existence, can experience, look up, so to speak, and experience its state of activity, water there, steam there, and ice over there. Is this a good example to use as the existence, the simultaneous existence of two states of existence of the nervous system, since the nervous system is physical and consists of being itself, and it's the one through which we experience the other states, including awareness? Is this a good example to use?
Oh yes, of course. See, we can take anything and say muscular value and molecular value and atomic value and value of energy deep within, and then value of that which is omnipresent. So many layers, very gross layer open to our senses, and then that layer which is not open to our senses, we call it transcendental value of life. If our awareness is fully developed, we'll comprehend the totality of the structure. If our awareness is not open fully, then we will not be able to comprehend the totality of the structure of life. Then we comprehend partial structure of life. So when we comprehend partial structure, when our awareness is not open to the whole, then we say we are in ignorance. And when we are able to spontaneously, naturally comprehend the totality of the structure, we say we are enlightened. So the enlightenment only means the ability of total comprehension. And total comprehension includes relative and absolute well. And if we were to be absolutely on the top of this total comprehension, then we will even have a spontaneous vision of the relative in terms of the infinite. But if this goes out of comprehension, then it will be quite comfortable to say that relative and absolute, both values comprehended at the same time means full comprehension. And this means fully developed awareness. And if we fully developed awareness, state of enlightenment, CC also is a state of enlightenment, GC also is a state of enlightenment. UC is the state of enlightenment.